name is Marissa McCarthy. Yeah, from Darwin. So I've heard of The Voice. I heard it actually several years ago through the Aboriginal Pastoral Council here. And it wasn't actually the voice, it was the Uluru Statement of the Heart that speaks of the voice. Yeah, so yes. I think the voice is about the brokenness we see today with Indigenous people. I think the voice is about, you know, for lots of people around us, the hospitalisations, the high rates of hospitalisations of Indigenous people, the high rates of prison rates of Indigenous people in prison, low literacy and numeracy rates, low employment rates. But for me, I think, you know, yeah, so I think about it like that, but I think really this is a cry of the people. So the voice is about fixing something, I think, that's broken, or trying to at least fix something that's broken. I think if it was passed, maybe. However, just looking at Australia today, I think there's lots of division, not just in Parliament, but in our community and everywhere. So I think perhaps it can be somewhat divisive, and but for me, I think there's a greater problem here. And I look at it, because of my faith, I look at it in a spiritual way. So to me, the root of this problem is not so much what we see, but a healing that needs to come to a nation, an Indigenous nation, Indigenous people. So the root of it, I think, is spiritual, but it's trying to fix it in a man's way, in a worldly way. For me, I think the solution will come from the Catholic Church, or from the Church of Australia. I think people should vote how they think. I think for me, I would have voted yes had it just been to recognise the Indigenous peoples as the first peoples within the Constitution and within Australia, because I think in some ways the Constitution is based on a lie, because, you know, of terra nullius, being empty land. So I think in that way I would have supported it, but because of the thing around the voice, I think it's created confusion, I think it's created division. I think it's, even from the voices I've heard today and yesterday, it's people don't understand the conversation, they don't understand why they would vote or why they wouldn't vote. So I think people need to hear both the yes and the no. And at the moment, the Catholic Church is not doing that. I think it does speak to a really great problem, and it's not just a problem here, it's a problem across the nation. I think, you know, there is woundedness in the lives of Indigenous people, like great woundedness. And talking to the Bishop yesterday, yeah, it speaks to their identity. Who am I as a person, as an Indigenous person? And so I think for me, there needs to be, it needs a healing of a nation, basically. And it's the church that's going to be that should be the people that goes forth and brings that to the people.